Hi Yogi, and welcome to another Slow Flow with me, Oceana. In this particular class, we'll be practicing a yang to yin flow and focusing particularly on the stomach and spleen meridian line. The meridians really are a sort of channel of energy that flows through the body, which is typically more associated with acupuncture, but in the context of yoga, we can apply something known as acupressure to these different lines. So that's what we'll be doing today. Most meridians come as pairs, where one of the two organs will be associated more with yin energy. In this case, that's the spleen, and the other organ will be more connected to yang energy, which in this case is the stomach, which is a little bit more fiery compared to the spleen. Both organs are really strongly connected to our digestive system, but that doesn't just mean physical digestion, it can also mean how we digest and process information and stuff that's happening and going on around us in life. Equally, the spleen is really connected to our ability to trust and stay honest with ourselves and other people. So I hope you enjoyed today's practice. Technically, there's nothing you particularly need, but you might like to have either a yoga mat that you can roll up towards the end of practice or something to sit on, especially if you know that sitting on just the floor with your legs in front of you isn't a particularly comfortable thing for you or causes your spine to round. So when you're ready, we will start in a standing position at the front of our yoga mats, so you can join me there. Starting at the top of your mat, make sure that your feet are hip distance. Bring the palms to touch in front of your chest, and then gently rest the heels of your hands on the top of the chest. Close the eyes here if that's comfortable, otherwise keep a soft gaze. Slowly let the crown of your head lift a little bit taller towards the ceiling and allow the shoulder blades to soften down the back. Lightly tucking under the tailbone, drawing it towards the ground beneath you. The knees are soft. And slowly here we'll start to shift our body weight forward towards the ball of the left foot, taking it into the ball of the right foot, to the heel of the right foot and the heel of the left foot. Finding a few more circles in that direction, keeping the body still and only moving by shifting the weight across the feet. Not lifting the toes or heels, but keeping the whole of each foot grounded to the floor. Eventually, the next time that you come back to the ball of the left foot, we'll change direction. So we'll take our body weight back into the heel of the left foot, the heel of the right foot, ball of the right foot, all the way around to the ball of the left foot. Finding that clockwise direction of that shift a few more times here. Eventually allowing ourselves to rest the body somewhere in between those 4 points, where we're perfectly balanced across the front and back, left and right foot. Gently blinking the eyes open here, allowing your eyes to fix on a point directly in front of you. And slowly as you inhale, lifting the hands up towards the ceiling. Squeezing the biceps in towards the ears, grow a little bit taller through the sides of the waist. Take a deep inhale here. Keep your palms connected as you exhale. Allow the body to lean towards the left side, opening up through the right side of the waist, and then push a little bit more into the left foot to bring yourself back to center. Take a deep inhale, lift a little bit taller. As you exhale, side bend to the right. Keep the whole of your hands connecting and pushing through the right foot as you inhale back to the midline. A tiny back bend here, possibly simply let the head drop behind the thumbs, maybe open the chest or lean a little bit further back. Inhale to pull yourself back up. On the exhale, take the hands through the midline, fold all the way forward and down towards the legs. Hands could be on the shins here at the beginning. As you inhale, lift the spine, reach the top of your head a little bit more towards the horizon line. As you exhale, fold back in. Plant the hands underneath the shoulders. As you inhale, step your left foot all the way back. Plant the left hand underneath its own shoulder. Lift the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. Simple high lunge twist on the first side here. On your next exhale, bring the top hand to the inside of the front foot. Turn to spin towards the left side of the mat. Come onto the left heel, lift the left toes, and gently reach your left hand towards the sky into a Skandasana twist, so our side lunge twist. Slowly take the top hand to the floor. Walk yourself to the back of the mat, turn all 10 toes with you, so you end up in a runner's lunge on the second side. On your next inhale, step the right foot to the left, feet hip distance. As you land, the hands could be on the shins or the floor for your halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. The shoulders roll back. On the exhale, you keep the spine long but fold back into the legs, maybe softening the knees to get there. On an inhale, reach the arms out and over your head, bringing the palms to touch above you. Again, lift through the fingertips, grow a little bit taller as you take a deep inhale here. On the exhale, as you keep the biceps squeezing in towards the ears, side bend to the right. Inhale, pull back, come back into the midline, lift a little bit taller as you exhale. Take it into that side bend on the left side. Breathing in, pull through the center, maybe a tiny back bend, maybe simply dropping the head behind the hands, or finding a little bit more extension through the spine, drawing back into the center. On the exhale, folding in towards the legs. Gently on your next inhale, lift the spine. Again, hands can be on the shins or floor. On the exhale, plant the hands down underneath the shoulders. Step your right foot back. Inhale, plant the right hand underneath its own shoulder. Lift the left fingertips, high lunge, simple twist on the second side. Catch a breath here. And then gently let the top hand travel all the way down to the inside of your left foot. Spin the back heel down, lift the right fingertips, turning towards the right edge of the mat to find Skandasana twist on the second side here. So top hand really reaching, and maybe you're even looking up towards your top thumb. Gently take your top hand down to the floor, walk yourself back to the front of the mat, turn all 10 toes with you. Catch a breath in that runner's lunge, really pushing into the back heel. And gently as you inhale, step the back foot forward, let the feet be hip distance. When you arrive, find a flat spine and exhale, fold back in towards the legs. With soft knees, reach the arms out and over your head, lifting up through the fingertips, let the palms touch. And again, grow a little bit taller through the center of the body as you exhale, leaning to the left, finding that side bend without losing touch of the palms. On the inhale, draw yourself back to the center, grow a little bit taller. Exhale to the right, finding that side bend on the second side. Lift up through the center, maybe a tiny back bend here. Lifting the fingertips up, dropping the head behind. As you inhale, draw back through the midline and fold all the way forward as you exhale. Planting the hands on the floor as you inhale, let the spine lengthen. Roll the shoulders back for halfway lift. As you exhale, keep the spine long but fold back in towards the legs. Left hand underneath the shoulder, left foot steps all the way to the back of the mat, right fingertips lift into your simple high lunge twist, but a little bit different here. So this time we'll turn all 10 toes towards the right hand side, coming into a supported side plank and rolling onto the outer edge of the back foot, pushing really actively into the top leg so that we can lift the hips. And gently, top hand comes down, turn all 10 toes the opposite direction, coming into Skandasana, this time floating the hands to the center of the chest and lifting the chest a little bit taller. Most of our body weight is on the right leg here so that we can really work into the glutes and the thighs and quads. Slowly shifting all the way to the back of the mat. Left knee bends, all 10 toes turn with us. We find that runner's lunge on the second side. Inhale, step your right foot to the left. Find that halfway lift here. On the exhale, fold towards the legs. Soft bend in the knees as you inhale, lift the arms out and over your head, reaching through the fingertips, palms touch, biceps squeeze in as you grow a little bit taller. On the exhale, find that side bend to the right. Let the inhale sweep the hands through center, across to the left as you exhale. Inhale, come back to the midline, and exhale, possibly drop the head behind the thumbs or find a little back bend. As you inhale, lift back up, and exhale, folding down back towards the legs. Lengthen the spine halfway as you breathe in. Reach the crown of the head away from the hips. As you exhale, keep the spine long, fold back down. Plant the hands underneath the shoulders. As you inhale, step the right foot back. Right hand grounds down as you exhale, left hand lifts into that simple twist again. And now optional here to come onto the outer edge of your right foot. Turn all 10 toes towards the left edge of the mat and push into your left leg to really lift the hips a little bit higher in this supported side plank version. Gently bring your top hand down, turn all 10 toes 180 degrees in the opposite direction. Turn your right heel to the floor and then slowly lift the palms back to the center of the chest to find your side lunge on the second side. So really firmly pushing into the left leg, grounding it down into the floor through the sole of the foot. Catch the breath here. Slowly here, bend your right knee, point the toes forward, plant the hands either side of your right foot and tuck under the back toes. Find that runner's lunge, maybe a little bit more lift through the front of the chest here. And gently on your next inhale, step the back foot in, land in that halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, and exhale, fold back in towards your legs, Uttanasana. With a soft bend in the knees, lift the arms out and over the head, reaching through the fingertips, let the palms join. Exhale, let the hands rest on top of the chest. Catch the breath here for a moment. Let your heart rate settle, let your breath catch up with you. On your next inhale, lift the fingertips, lengthen through the sides of the waist. As you exhale, take a gentle side bend to the left. Inhale, push through the left foot, come back to the midline. Exhale to the right. Press into the right foot, draw yourself back into center. Tiny back bend as you exhale. On the inhale, draw back up. On the exhale, take the hands through the midline as you fold forward through to the legs. Crown of the head hangs heavy. Inhale, lengthen the spine halfway. Exhale, plant the hands down, step your left foot back. Reach the right fingertips towards the ceiling and again turn all 10 toes towards the right edge of the mat. Either staying here, really pushing into the top foot, or quite optional here, you might shimmy the right foot a little bit more into the center. You might even stack the feet and come into full half or side plank rather than half plank. Lifting through the bottom hip to find the last breath here. And then gently stepping your right foot all the way back to the front. Spinning yourself around to the opposite edge of the mat. Lifting the left toes. Now again, option one is to stay here in a taller version of Skandasana. Some of you might be able to lift the bottom heel towards the sitting bone and come into the lower variation of this. And if you're there, really think about pressing into the ball of the bottom foot. It's a little bit of a toe balance. And then you grow a little bit taller through the crown of the head, pressing the floor away. Slowly taking it into the other leg here. So you might not need the hands, but maybe it's helpful to have the hands on the floor. Turn to find that runner's lunge at the back of the yoga mat. On your next inhale, step the back foot to the left. Lift the spine halfway, reach through the crown of the head. On the exhale, fold back in towards the legs, softening. With a soft bend in the knees, lift the arms out and over your head. Reach through the fingertips, let the palms join. And exhale, this time bring the heels of the hands again to the center of the chest, resting them lightly against the breastbone. Lift the chest upwards towards your thumbs. Soften the shoulders, catch the breath here. Grow a little bit taller from the soles of your feet all the way through the crown of the head. And then inhale, lift the hands. Find that length through the sides of the waist and ribs. As you exhale, reach across towards the right side. Push through the right foot to lift yourself back up. Grow a little bit taller on the in-breath. Exhale to the left. Inhale through the midline and exhale. Find that tiny back bend. One last time here. Squeeze the thighs in to come back to center. And exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips to find your standing forward bend. Lift the spine halfway as you breathe in. On the exhale, hands underneath the shoulders, step your right foot back. Again, right hand goes underneath its own shoulder, left hand lifts, and you turn all 10 toes to the left side, maybe shimmying the left foot a little bit more into the middle of the mat. Maybe for some of you, making the left foot light and stacking the feet one on top of the other for full side plank position, really lifting through the bottom hip to find your last breath here. And then gently, if you've taken the full version, step the left foot forward, maybe shimmy it there with your hands if that's helpful. Turn the toes the opposite way. Press your right heel down and find Skandasana, either that tall version or let your left sitting bone lower. Lift the left heel to come into the toe balance version of this pose. And again, you could have the fingertips on the floor here if the balance is feeling a little bit tricky, or you could bring the palms to touch in front of the chest. Find a moment to breathe here. Find a little bit of stillness in the balance. We'll slowly take it into our runner's lunge, back to the front. One last time here. So big push into the back leg. Bend the right knee, plant the hands at the front of the mat. Lift through the chest. And this time a little bit different here. We'll plant the hands underneath us, stepping the front foot all the way back into a high plank. Lowering the knees and separating them as wide as is comfortable to find child's pose here, Balasana. Pressing into index finger and thumb. Really allowing the spine to round and giving ourselves a moment of rest. Really see if you can allow the forehead to rest either on the floor, or possibly if you bend the elbows, you could stack the hands and rest the head there. Again, if that's not quite enough height, you could stack your fists and rest the forehead so that you're really giving the back of the neck a bit of a release. You might even relax your bottom jaw away from the top row of teeth. And let the tongue soften away from the roof of the mouth, allowing all the muscles in the front of the face to become a little bit heavier, a little bit softer. Gifting yourself a few moments for the heart rate to settle, for the breath to gradually begin to soften and lengthen, becoming a little bit more fluid between each inhale and exhale. We'll gradually take this into a side bend, so you could walk the hands in front of you and take them all the way across towards the left edge of your mat. Right hand stacks on top of the left, and from there you're really pushing into the hands to ground your right sitting bone, breathing equally into both sides of the ribs. Finding a few moments to let the breath widen the rib cage apart as you breathe in, and to soften the front and back body towards the floor as you exhale. Slowly on your next inhale, walk the hands back through center and all the way across to the opposite side. So this time left hand is on top of the right. You're pushing through the hands to send your left sitting bone towards the heel, puffing out the chest, breathing quite laterally into the rib cage for a few moments here. On the next inhale, walk the hands back into the center of the mat. press into the hands, lift yourself up into a tabletop and walk the knees back so that you can come all the way onto the belly. We'll come into a Sphinx pose here. So you could have your elbows about an inch or a couple centimeters in front of your shoulder line. The fingertips could be quite wide apart. And for the first few rounds of breath, you could make it quite an active Sphinx pose by having the feet a little bit wider than your hips. You can push the floor away with your elbows and then almost have a sense that you're using the friction of the floor or the yoga mat beneath you to pull the forearms back towards the feet. And you should feel quite a strong sensation through the upper back, lifting forward as if you're opening the front of the chest and really sunshining the collarbones to the space in front of you. You might close the eyes and really feel the support of the shoulder blades at the upper back here. And very optional here, but if you do want to deepen the back bend, then you could gently press into the hands to maybe work towards straight elbows, possibly even walk the hands a little bit closer towards you for seal pose, keeping the fronts of your hips grounded and making sure to support yourself in a way that this can still be restful, and really making sure more than anything that you're not working so deeply into this that there's any pinching or pain in the lower back. So if that's the case, dial it back a touch, maybe walk the hands a little bit further forward to make it a slightly less intense back bend, and make sure that you accommodate for whatever's going on with your body, particularly today in this very moment, rather than where you think you should be on a normal day-to-day basis. Make this your last few moments here. Really breathing and expanding through the front of the body and the chest, and seeing if there's any particular parts of yourself that could be doing a little bit less work. So where could there be a little bit more softness, a little bit more stillness? Gently, if you're in that seal pose, let the elbows relax back down to the floor. If you're in Sphinx, let the elbows go a little bit wider apart. Plant the hands underneath the shoulders, and from here we'll take it back into a different version of child's pose. So this time you could come back to the version of child's pose that we've already done, or if child's pose is fairly comfortable for you, you might keep the knees together, making this a stronger counter posture to the back bend. You can walk the fingertips back and let the forehead round towards the floor. The knees are coming fairly close to the head, so you might shimmy the head a little bit closer. You might have a little roll from one leg to the other, shifting your body weight from side to side, massaging the front of the face, and giving a little bit of a release for the lower back and the hips. Gradually, as you inhale, let the spine round as you come back up to a kneeling position here. And slip your feet out from underneath you. So we'll come to sit on our sitting bones. And we'll start with the right heel tucked in towards the left sitting bone. And we can have the left leg in front of the shin, or you could cross the foot all the way towards the outside of the thigh. Now, left hand here is going to come behind us for support initially, and we'll lean into that back hand to lift the right fingertips up and over the head, really opening up through the right side of the waist. Catching a few rounds of breath here in this slight back bend and side bend. Eventually that top elbow could come across the top thigh. If it doesn't quite reach, you can wrap the elbow around the top knee here. making sure that you choose somewhere where you can definitely stay for a few rounds of breath. I quite enjoy actually just hooking the elbow across the thigh and then resting the hand on top of the hip here. Otherwise, some of you might prefer to bring your back hand to touch the right palm, and then you can really press the left hand into the right and open the twist a little bit deeper. And always when we do these more restorative versions of seated twists, I really like to encourage you to close the eyes, and it gives us a very different perspective on our twist. So you might be less inclined to really look towards your back shoulder and find something at the back of the room to aim for. And usually people tend to keep their chin a little bit more between the collarbones. And I often see that people work a little bit softer into these twists, a little bit more conscientiously, thinking about every inhale, growing the spine a little bit taller, and every exhale, really gently coming a little bit further into that twist if there's space. And of course, if you found somewhere that's already quite interesting to you, you don't have to go any further. You could just stay there, sort of percolate, simmer, see what's happening in that particular space as every inhale and every exhale passes you by. Gently on your next in-breath, unravel the spine, face towards the front. And from here, we'll take both hands across towards the right hip, briefly bowing the forehead towards the ground, and on an inhale, making our way back up to a seated position. And you can simply swap the legs around here. I'm going to turn the other direction. It might be a little bit easier for you to see. So you'll hopefully end up with the the left heel towards the right sitting bone, and the right leg is on top this time. Again, either it's going to be the foot in front of the shin or the foot all the way across the thigh. You could sit on something if the spine is really rounding and you're having a hard time keeping the chest lifted. Otherwise, plant your right hand behind you, lean into that back hand to float the left fingertips up and over the head. Really reach through the top hand and expand the top side of the body here, and either hook the elbow across the thigh or wrap the arm around the top knee. Again, if you've got the elbow hooked, you might rest the hand towards the opposite hip, or you could bring the palms to touch in front of the chest here. It's very much yogi's choice. But then again, you might, if you chose to do it on the first side, close the eyes and really feel yourself very slowly, gradually working towards that twist with every single breath, finding that length through the spine as you breathe in, and that gentle nudging towards the twist as you exhale. Making every breath count as we stay for the last few moments here. Gently on your next inhale, unwind the spine. Slowly take both hands across towards the left hip. Bow down, briefly derotate the spine. And from here, we'll have the feet as wide as the mat, hands behind the hips here, just a couple times allowing the knees to roll from one side to the other, releasing any tension from the hips here. And eventually we could choose to keep the knees just a touch bent. I've apparently picked up every piece of fluff in this house today, so I'm having to have a little wipe down. So you could choose to have the feet flat on the floor with the knees bent. We're working towards caterpillar pose, so we will come forward into a fold. Again, some of you might like to sit on something or roll up the back of your yoga mat to support the sitting bones. If you do want to go a little bit further, you could place the heels on the floor, or you might straighten the legs all together. Some of you might be able to very comfortably bring the belly on top of the thighs and then catch the feet. And because this is a yin practice, I tend to keep the feet at least hip distance, if not slightly wider. If you know that, like me, you're quite hypermobile and the backs of your knees have a tendency to touch the floor here, you might like to support them with a pillow, or you could slide a rolled up blanket underneath the knees as well. If that's not very easily available, I tend to just press the heels of my feet quite firmly into the floor and keep a little bend on the backs of the knees so they stay unlocked. From here, as I said, you could rest the belly on the thighs with the knees more generously bent, or the legs can gradually straighten. Maybe the forehead is resting between the legs, and you can really let the front of the face be soft. Really feel the movement of the breath in the front of the body, expanding the belly and chest towards the thighs. And the exhale possibly bringing you a little bit deeper into the posture, softening you down. Finding just a few moments here to let the body settle in, to find a moment of stillness and then really observe how that stillness is landing. Are there certain parts of your physical body that are quite resistant to becoming still? Is there a little bit of movement, still trapped, feeling agitated in the body? Or are you really able to settle in and let the body be as comfortable as it can be, letting your attention drift towards the different sensations that are present within your physical body? Gently here, roll up to seated. Plant the hands behind your hips, shimmy the hips forward and come all the way onto your backside for Shavasana. So you might like to keep the knees bent here. You could have the feet as wide as your mat with the knees dropping in towards one another, resting the hands on top of the belly, or you could choose to straighten the legs if you prefer. Whichever option you've chosen, really make sure that you've walked your shoulder blades a little bit closer towards the spine. You could roll the head a few times from side to side and really find that perfect resting position. From there, bring your attention back to your breathing. Let the inhale really expand the belly towards the hands. Let the exhale melt the back of the body into the floor beneath you. Find this deep openness of the inhale, lifting and expanding the front of the body. That softness of the exhale, allowing gravity to really take hold of the body, grounding you down. And see if you could remain here for the last few moments in stillness. Slowly, gently, bring a little bit of movement into your toes and fingertips. Bend the knees and bring them towards the chest. Hug the knees to the chest with your arms. Maybe have a little roll from one side to the other. Eventually lift your right arm up and over the head. Roll all the way onto the right side of your body with the left arm supporting you there. Press into the left hand and gradually make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Bring the palms together in front of your chest. Bow the forehead towards the fingertips. Give yourself just a moment of gratitude, a little bit of thanks for showing up on your yoga mat, overcoming all the obstacles that were in your way before you got here. and for making it right all the way through to the very, very bitter end. Nobody thanks you for that more than I do. This is where we're going to close our practice. Namaste, yogi. And once again, thank you so much for making it all the way through to the end. Of course, if you have any feedback, suggestions, comments, let me know down below. I'm always so thrilled to hear from all of you. And equally, if you want to support the channel, of course, like this video, give it a little thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, share it with your yogi friends so that we can grow this wonderful community here on YouTube. And one last time, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you back on your yoga mat very soon, yogi. Bye.